Hey friends, happy Vlogmas. I thought I would share another bookshelf tour with you, so first we're just going to show the shelf as it is. Today we're doing my young adult fiction shelf. Here are the first few books off of that shelf. Up on top, not properly shelved in, we have American Panda by Gloria Chow, which is about a girl who is trying to live her life in college away from her parents and is in the pre-med track, despite the fact that she is terrified of germs. And we have The Chimes by Anna Small, which I still haven't read yet, but it's something to do with the music and is dystopian. Next we have It Devours, which is a Welcome to Night Vale novel. This is the second Welcome to Night Vale novel, and it's about the smiling god and science. Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is a book about anxiety and OCD. Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven, which is a signed copy. Very neat. And this book is a love story between a fat girl who went viral a few years ago for being America's fattest teen and a boy with facial blindness. Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, which is another book featuring a fat girl and a half Asian boy. I think it's an okay love story, but there is some really weird writing about Asians, and as an Asian, I wish I had known that going into it. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas is her debut novel. It is about a girl who witnesses her friend who is unarmed being shot by the police on a traffic stop, and the fallout of what happens in her community after he has been shot and nobody knows that she is the one that was the witness of this. Love and First Sight by Josh Sundquist. This is a book about a blind kid who gets his vision back. I really liked Josh Sundquist's videos around the time this was first published, so I decided to pick it up. And as someone with a blind parent, I thought it was okay. I thought it was an okay depiction of blindness. Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell and Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Fangirl is a book about a fanfiction writer who's going to college for creative writing and is trying to find her footing in this new, bigger place without the help of her dad or her twin sister, and she deals a lot with anxiety. And she is a fanfiction writer for the Simon Snow books, which she names her fanfiction Carry On, which is Rainbow Rowell's next book. Carry On by Rainbow Rowell takes place in this magical world that she imagined in Fangirl. Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This is the very first of the Simon-verse books, and I think some of Albertalli's just classic writing. It is also the inspiration of the movie Love, Simon, which people seem to have liked. It's a really fun book about a kid who is unfortunately forced out, and his relationship with this boy that he meets on Tumblr that goes to the same school and is also gay. But when he is outed, the person that he has been falling in love with unfortunately doesn't also come out and want to be with him. The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. I had to read this for a class when I was in college, so I still have the paperback book. I liked the book. I thought it was okay. Sherman Alexie has done some not great things. I think it's a good book, but maybe buy it secondhand if you're interested in getting it. Next we have the rest of my John Green books. I own his entire collection. Looking for Alaska by John Green, which is about a boy who falls in love with a girl called Alaska when he moves to boarding school in his junior year of high school. It's kind of a manic pixie dream girl book. There is now an adaptation on Hulu of this book. An Abundance of Catherines by John Green, which I think is honestly the worst John Green book. It is about a genius who goes on a road trip because he gets dumped again by this girl named Catherine, and everyone he's ever dated has been named Catherine of all his 19 girlfriends, and they keep dumping him. So he goes on a road trip to find himself when he's single and figure out what's wrong with him, why does he keep falling for these Catherines, and why don't any of them want to stay with him. Paper Towns by John Green is another kind of road trip book about another manic pixie dream girl. This does have a movie adaptation. Margot Roth Spiegelman does a bunch of pranks with this guy Quentin, and then she disappears, leaving behind just a few clues and the memories of one weird night together. Let It Snow is a collaboration between John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle, and it is a story that takes place on Christmas Eve when there's this huge snowstorm. All 3 stories become interwoven and then turn into one final story at the end. Will Grayson is a collaboration between John Green and David Levithan. I really enjoy all of the collaborations that David Levithan has done with other authors. I like Will Grayson. I think it's my favorite John Green book. I only have The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I do not have the cover. First and Then by Emma Mills is kind of a Friday Night Lights story, but told from the school journalist's point of view. She's really happy just kind of having a crush on her best friend, figuring out where she wants to go to college and how she's going to get into it. And then she gets sort of a foster brother that she needs to take care of and protect, and who is kind of a social outlier, and also this new super hot football player moves to town and takes an interest in her. This Adventure Ends by Emma Mills is a story about a girl whose father is an author, and they move to a new town and she befriends this really nice family, a brother and sister, and the sister is internet famous and the brother is mostly still just grieving for their dead mom, who was a famous artist, and this is a story kind of about how she is trying to track down their mother's last paintings. I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. This is an excellent book. I've only read the first half though. It's beautiful and it's great, and I read the first half of it in the library and had realized I had forgotten my library card, and then I later bought the book, and I just haven't had the time to pick it up yet, but I think it's an absolutely wonderful book. From what I've read, it has 2 points of view, a brother and sister, one taking place when they're 13 and one taking place when they're like 15, 16. And some big event happened in between them that sort of fractured and broke up their relationship. All the Bright Places by Jennifer Neben. I believe this is getting a Netflix adaptation, or it already has one. It's a love story between someone who is depressed and has depression, and a story about a girl who was grieving ever since her sister died. A lot of trigger warnings for depression, anxiety, suicide, but I think it's a pretty good book. I don't know how responsibly Netflix will adapt it, which is one of the things I'm a little worried about. The Beginning of Everything by Robin Schneider is the story of someone's senior year when a new girl moves to town. His life has been wrecked after he got into a car accident last year and kind of saw his sports career go up in flame, and he goes back to kind of hanging out with people that he used to know and used to be friends with, and suddenly his entire life shifts. Extraordinary Means is also by Robin Schneider. This is a book that I wouldn't recommend reading in 2020. It is about a group of kids who live in a sanatorium. They all have tuberculosis that can't be treated with the current drugs that they have, are just trying to survive and live their lives, even though they know that several of them might die, and that they might not ever get better. It's kind of a funny story by Ned Bazzini. This is a book about a depressed boy who is considering committing suicide, but instead checks himself into a mental health hospital. And unfortunately, the children's and teen ward is not currently able to accept him, so he is put into the adult psych ward. And it's kind of about his time there and his time trying to recover. The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. This is a book about a young girl growing up in Nazi Germany, and is narrated by Death. Like, Death is a character and our narrator, and he is responsible for picking up all of these lost souls. This is just about a little girl who's trying to be a good person when there's all of these horrific things happening around her. And lastly, we have I Am the Messenger, another book by Marcus Zuzak, which is about this taxi cab driver who receives messages in the mail, not exactly secrets, but missions, instructions, people. He finds people that he is supposed to help, and it doesn't say how he's going to help them, but he knows that he's going to make these people's lives better. And those are all the books on my young adult fiction shelf. Thank you so much for joining me for this bookshelf tour, and I will be back with another one real soon. If you want to see more from me, please subscribe, watch another video of mine, or support me on Patreon. And hey, I love you!